Stone Cold Radar. Hey, everybody. It is Monday. So good to see you all. Thank you for tuning in. So tell me, how was your weekend? Did you have a good time? Hope so. Hey, it wasn't Friday night. Man, it was just still blowing my mind. Again, thanks to Bruce McDonald, who helped set that up with John Edmonds, and man, it's a mind blower. And apparently YouTube doesn't like it either. Could you imagine that? I don't have any doubt the censors don't like that. But anyway, so what a great time that was. And we're going to get John back in, and I think it'll be great. So how is everybody? Hey, Twisted Isby, I saw Big Al in the room, and hey, Susie Q, and man, so many folks in here. Man, it's like watching the wheel at the casino. Hey, everyone. So Robin, good to see you. Think agape love always. From the light of the darkness. Hey, I like that. That's a good handle. David, how are you, my friend? Always so good to see you. And there's Ann, and so many people. Brandon, and Brandy, you're a fine girl. Just continues on. How are y'all? So hope you're doing good. We're going to get into some good stuff, folks. I'm just telling you. It's, what does the shirt say? It says, "What's your sign, baby?" So yeah, they don't do any censoring except the truth. That's about the truth. I mean, you think about it. That's how censorship works. I mean, you know, the reason why they censor it's because they don't want you to know about it. And yeah, I'm still working on the whole piece. But folks, the video gaming industry is really nothing more than, the industrialized military machine. And here are the facts. They knew this from the 70s, actually knew it decades prior to that, but with ET's help, yes, video gaming was introduced. Now, it does some weird stuff, folks, up here, and it starts to rearrange, starts pulling out wires, and it starts putting them into different sockets. All the while, it's completely normal. Why? Well, because it's a feeding frenzy. It's an industry that generates $500 billion, and it's so immersive in how it works that once you're exposed to it, it never really goes away. And listen, you're talking to a guy. Now, I used to play foosball and pinball. I really was really good at pinball. It's just the thing I had going. Well, thank you. I was just Regina seeing that. And listen, there's no doubt that even back then with the lights and, whereas foosball was such a great game. It was one where you could really be loaded and play exceptionally well, but I digress. But anyway, it's gotten so bad now, and it is truly ultra mind control. So we'll get into that later, because that's not what we're going to talk about today. Yeah, I love pinball. It was really, and again, foosball was there were some people used to play in tournaments. And anyway, that's not what we're here for. We're going to get into something. I found this document, and then it's interesting because it later came into play through someone who actually had sent me an email, and I thought, well, the timing couldn't have been better. It's really carrying into the theme, and once we get this done, I think it kind of sets a foundation of things that we're going to be covering going forward. And it does put an interesting perspective now on the past. Yeah, Darth, that's absolutely right. And I'll take your thought. It truly is the dark side. It's amazing. And the thing, I was reading this document with the CIA. They know what it does to the brain. And if you're an energy feeding off of the emotion of the host, us, and the parasite or whatever it is feeding off of us, oh, folks, I mean, this is getting into some serious stuff. It's like cocaine to them. I mean, they're as addicted to it as the humans are. Oh man, it's freaking, it'll just get you going. Like, hey, that's a great album, by the way, Danny. Great album. In fact, it's so odd that you mentioned that. I listened to that album this weekend, the Moody Blues, Days of Future Past. Anyway, yes, here we have a good time. We have a wonderful time. Next Saturday, I had to postpone with Nigel, who will be doing at the same time Saturday, just to give you a heads up. I have some questions that I really want to get, because we're going to get into a perspective on the subject matter from the Russians' point of view. I'd like to also see how the Chinese find it, because no doubt, they have it as well. Yeah. So, all right, let's rock and roll, kids. Now, this is from a book that is called Introduction to the Alien Races book. And what you're going to find out, just approach this with an open mind. That's all I got to say. Our history, you can't deny that. Our great grandfathers, mothers, whatever the case, they were witness to some events that, folks, if it happened today, every nation would go down on nuke lockdown. These were literally battles. I don't know who the good guys are. I don't know who the bad guys are. I know it was us who paid the price. The toxicity that was a result of this killed, well, we don't know how many, thousands, tens of thousands. Could it have been the beginning of the plague? Who knows? But it did happen. That is a fact. So just plant this in your mind. The video gaming is mind control. The video gaming industry is preparing minds. The video gaming industry is controlled by them. It's clearly, I believe, this is extraterrestrial in its origins. Folks, I don't think humans are smart enough to have come up with this. We're brilliant, but there's just some things we ain't so brilliant. This was sent by, I think, someone down in Australia, 360. Sometimes you don't sign your email, so I don't know who you are. So thank you to the person who sent it. But this is, I believe, what happened recently in Australia. Do you see the life form? Yeah. Now, folks, we're getting into some things here that could cause some cognitive dissonance to take place, because we're in such freaking denial of so much today. The weak minds are everywhere, and they cannot and will not accept the fact that, folks, we ain't here alone, and we ain't at the top of the pinnacle anymore. In fact, I would say we're probably somewhere about the foundation level. But isn't that, can you see it? Now, the person who sent this to me said that they saw this as a female. A female goddess. You can clearly see the tail. I really did a blow up on this, and wow. It's got horns. I can tell you that. It has what appears to be a morphing face. In other words, depending on how you would look at it, its face changes. But yeah, there you go. See what you think of it. All right, so we're going to talk about something in 2020 that for many people, because do you know they do not teach civics in school anymore? Boy, they're setting us up right, oh, so beautifully. I don't see any YouTubers talking about that. I don't see any up in arms the fact that they no longer teach civics. But anyway, I digress, because if there's an agenda here. So this is Stalin. Stalin was very much into UFO and aliens. They had their own Roswell, apparently. And unlike Hitler, who never killed anyone, this man personally killed, it is documented, thousands. But anyway, we're not here talking about political ideologues of history. What we are talking about is the same adaptation the United States took that Stalin took, and that was censorship. Shut it down. Don't let the public, either American or Russian citizenry, know what's really going on. Isn't that odd? Supposedly our biggest enemy in ideology and everything else, and we followed just like he did. Makes you wonder who was kissing whose ass. Anyway, I digress. People say, well, yes, of course you did. Yeah, I know, I did. This is outside Leningrad. The Russians had plenty of encounters. Baltic Sea. You determine what you want to see. Again, I put this one in. This is actually London, England. Yeah. It's amazing what you can find when you start getting into the archives. So Russia has had some problems. Apparently, they have pissed off some ETs. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what Putin has done or not done, but it's very clear the Russians have a problem. They literally have a race of ETs that are at war with Russia. Let's hope that same thing is not prevailing here. So if you look at this, you can see, again, the United States by far, as you can see, has a lot of the area, but these are areas up in Russia that you do not hear about. And if you notice, you hear nothing from China. I think they've got their own problems as well, but hey, that's just my opinion. So, we get artist renditions of what these cats look like. We have supposed video that shows actual ETs that have been captured. That is rumored that Putin knows the ones that what the Russians did to theirs. We have CC cameras that are everywhere now, that where we see the evidence of something. Are these basically what we would call planted hypnotic impressions by these creatures? And they are creatures. I don't know what they call us creatures, and I think that's what they are. But what we do know is that we're finding things in our bedroom that, well, maybe they're not of this earth. And then we get the oddities of, so-called experiments of creatures that have been hybridized. Hard to say, because we live in an age where they put this purposely. We live in an age of confusion. This is no longer the digital age. This is the age of confusion. And ladies and gentlemen, confusion, as it is with this topic and other such topics associated with it, can only lead to one inevitable conclusion: chaos. So what are they? Well, we're going to find out a perspective the Russians have. And it's hard to say. I'm convinced that there's not just one, not just two. I think there's probably hundreds. Big universe out there. The one thing we do get from the Russians is that, they're seeing the same thing that our Navy is seeing. They're apparently as interested, concerned, hard to say. And we know that there is a battle going on. This is in Russia, found by two hikers. Been examined in television shows. But what we do know, they did have and still are having their own Roswells. They're in a campaign, much like the United States, as to take down as many as they can, because some of these races are not sharing the technology. And that becomes a problem. Because when you have an opponent that has a bigger ship than yours do, well, you can't piss in the high weeds anymore because they got you beat. So we're going on this adventure. Not going to finish up today, but we're going to see something from, reportedly, from the Russian KGB files. The story goes, and I'll kind of go through this so you don't have to any longer read on this, but I'm going to leave it up there for those who want to read. So the story begins with a guy, 2004, who was he called up a friend and said, hey, I'm going to go down and take some vacation. And I think they went down to Portugal and Spain. And so the story goes, him and this guy are riding down there. They visit his brother, and then they went to Portugal and visited his father. It's while they were at the father's house that, the father was needing some help to move some books in a room. And they began to look at this, and as they went through it, they found that these were actually documents. And they asked him if they could, he wanted to throw them away, that if they could keep the documents and go through them. And the guy's father said, sure. Well, it was while they were going through this book, and I'll pick up here in the storyline, that's when we found the book that led us to the videos. And this guy actually has on YouTube these as his story. I just haven't been able to find it, and I'm sure someone out there will. So he said that they came across a book that was undated and looked modern, but we did find the cover, only the cover, for the same book, but dating back to 1951. We called his father later that year and asked him about the book, and he filled in the missing information. He said that amongst the high-ranking political officials, and I believe his father was a diplomat in the Ukraine, there had always been the rumor of alien contact, but nothing concrete. He said that he had received the books years before from one of his lifelong diplomatic friends and had been updating the book until recently with the information that friends of his sent him, or when they would get together and talk about old times. That information, regularly updated, was sent to him by mail, phone, and online. He still gets regular updates that he transmits to me. The book has hundreds of side notes to it, with related miscellaneous information attached to the pages, the photos, everything else. Almost sounds like Arlo Guthrie in Aunt Alice's Restaurant. Anyway, how they found out about where the relatively recent visits from aliens, their numbers, where it happened. They had been updating the information they could get regularly. And apparently, as I am understanding, there doesn't seem to be a stigma so much in Russia as it is here. If you see something in the sky, it's, but then again. He also said that there were only a handful of people that were in the know back then in the USSR days. The leader of the Communist Party, and a couple of advisors. Now, they leveled these guys at a 5 or 6 within the SMERSH group, agents, maybe more, they don't know. The commander of the armed forces and the commanders of 3 armed forces branches, Army, Air Force, and Navy, and maybe a couple of scientists. He said that most likely there were more people in the know, specifically in the military, but he could not confirm that. And his friends did not recognize some of the names mentioned on the book. People have asked him about some of the illustrations of certain alien races on the book. This is because some of them were literally copied off of movies and or video games, not all of them. He said him and his friend Pedro asked ourselves the same thing, as we recognized some of them, and we did contact his father in order to get an answer. He told us that over the years, the people that were adding, updating, printing the book had been using alien images from the media when they did not have a regular photo or a drawing from the witnesses. So sometimes they used images from movies and the video games that better described the alien races in question. This according to the witness testimonies. Now, this is where it gets strange. Apparently, he said he told us that among the high-ranking diplomats, there has been much solid discussion and debate about a plan involving certain media, from online to paper to Hollywood to the video gaming industry, and certain security departments, specifically from Japan, China, Canada, USA, and Europe, in order to use the right to them images to describe the appearance of aliens. Folks, these images just don't happen. They're coming from somewhere. It's like many songwriters, many people that write scripts, they receive this information from somewhere else. Well, and if you think that this is so benign, I disagree with you. They got a commercial now, a car commercial, that is showing the takeover of humanity. And they kind of make light of it because the person doesn't see the car and walks out in front of it. And, we got the technology that the car will stop. Folks, those type of commercials are telling you something. And to think that they're just merely humorous product salesmanship, wake up. He also told us that some of the alien races, images used in the video games and other media were used in the book prior to the release of the games and or movies. A lot of crossbreeding going on here, as you would say. He said that him and some of his friends had knowledge that some of those security departments had actually created some of the images and then released them to the proper channels in order for those images to be known to the general public. We have documents from the CIA that states the very same thing. In fact, in Majestic 12, it was one of their plans to handpick certain individual and their associated industries to be direct beneficiaries of this alien acquired technology. Now, they paid a price for it, but in return, they were all made extremely rich. The obvious is that the writer, the guy who put this together, said we could not confirm except for one of the images in the book. The aliens used in the movie Independence Day were known before the Mankey, not even close to the movie, by at least 8 years. So, in 1980, the first copy of the edition of this book was found in the field of East Siberia. That copy ended up in the hands of the KGB agent with friends in the media. After the collapse of the USSR, some of the information and images in the book were leaked, most likely sold, as were the approximately 24 or more nukes. You don't hear about that in the media, do you? They never found them. So that means somebody's out there sitting on a 24 or more, what they would call black market nukes. And yeah, anyway. All right. So let's get into this book. This is his father, talks about a number of the stories. Oh, no, it's not his father. This is a story about a captain. I believe this is something like about 1924, right up there. All right. And he had 3 daughters. Well, the captain was of Russia's descent, and very little known is about him except that he traveled a lot. A farmer that lived near the captain's house said that he saw the captain's daughters walking towards the woods maybe 2 hours before. They just up and disappeared. They couldn't find it. Never did. Intrigued, he followed them at a distance. After walking for 30 minutes, he described seeing purple and red lights and a mist through the trees. He got closer and saw the 3 girls entering what he called a floating bright windmill-like plane. He also reported seeing 5 creatures as small as the children, but with a much older face. According to him, the windmill then flew very slowly into the stars until he could not see them or tell them apart. According to the farmer, he ran to the captain's house to warn him about the event. This photo here, supposedly that farmhouse. Upon arriving, he knocked on the door, but nobody answered. He then entered the house and found the captain and his wife dead on their bed. Their faces were peaceful, as if they died during their sleep. That's the only way to go, by the way, folks. All their animals, the 3 dogs, 1 horse, 2 goats, were dead as well. Where have we heard that before? On the kitchen table, there was a letter or note, not signed, with the handwriting that matched Sophia, one of the daughters. It said, "We are going to the school in the moon with our friends." Supposed photo of the little girl, but that was not confirmed. All right, so this starts getting interesting. And the PDF is out there. I have it. If you want it, I'd be more happy to send it to you. All right. So he said in this book of alien races is both instructions manual and a source of information to be used now and in the future until the day it will be needed no more. We don't know what that day is. Learn from it add to it. Now, this was the instruction apparently to the agent that had this. When you encounter with humans that there's an ET event, investigate the event, interrogate the witnesses, gather physical evidence. What we do. When with aliens, engage with them, follow them, learn from them. Now, that's an interesting take because we know that the U.S. military is far more aggressive. It says you are forbidden of showing this book to anyone, talking about the book to anyone, talking about or revealing your investigative activities to anyone, drinking alcohol on and off duty, consuming drugs on and off duty, helping alien races, no matter the situation or request, choosing sides when physically amongst different alien races or during investigation, and of engaging in sexual activities with any members of any alien race. Sounds like a Men in Black script, but this was way before the Men in Black. So take it for what you are. Now, this is to the agent department. As you can see, I don't know if that's 4-1A-12. It's your duty to thoroughly investigate all events regarding any reports of visitations or incidences concerning creatures from other planets, as well as the non-terrestrial creatures that dwell on our planet at the present or future time. It is your duty to immediately present to your superior in charge any material evidence gathered during your investigations. It is your duty to keep absolute secrecy and concealment regarding your findings and conclusions during your investigations, except from your superiors in charge. It is your duty to immediately destroy this book in case your physical being or personal safety is threatened. The loss of this book, while in your possession, will result in serious consequences for your two SMERSH companion agents, as well as for your immediate relatives. I mean, this is truly the Don Corleone. I have a deal for you. Once in, ain't no getting out alive. Yeah. Make use of your extensive training and love for your great union. And it's signed by the Chief Marshal. I think that's a version in. All right, so here's our first one. And, you know, a lot of these names, I don't know where they get them. I think this is Al Guruk, a.k.a. the Builders. Now, they come from the constellation Sculptor. They derive from an ancient race of reptilians that has gone extinct. They are specialists at building ships and other devices needed for deep space traveling. They are also space dwellers themselves, searching for new raw materials. They can live up to 230 years, last seen near Tokyo, Japan in 2005. This is the Kilowatt. They come from the constellation Vela, near the star Sahel, Al-Mulaf. I don't know where that is. They grow up to 2 meters high, about 6 feet, and live up to 200 years. They can shapeshift and are very hard to detect. When they shapeshift, the only thing they cannot change is the size and color of their eyes. They are one of the oldest known races. They do abduct humans. Last seen on Earth in July of 2008. The Pelagians. They come from solar systems surrounding the Palladial stars, more precisely from the planet Era near the star, I think that's Taygeta. They are associated with spiritual growth. They can grow up to 2.5 meters, 8 feet. They practice sex cultivation. The distinct difference between their sexual expressions and their sensual emotions. Their ships are also known as beam ships. Although regularly visiting Earth, they have remained mostly silent since 10,000 BC. How interesting date, isn't it? They are one of the oldest known races. They continue to develop the necessary mental skills to eventually reach their goal, an even higher spiritual state. Folks, I think that's really what it is on the other side. Wherever you're doing now, do it twice as dedicated into that spiritual state. Remember, you can be spiritual and not have to believe in a God. Believe in the Creator, the source. This is the Mon Oak. They come from the constellation Volans. The sightings of the race on Earth were rare, and they are considered as a mysterious race. It is said that they were forbidden to visit Earth around the year 1000 BC, but they did not stop visiting Earth completely. This is because of their allies, the race Matri, last seen on Earth December of 1989. Chorus, aka gods of lands, believed to be related to the Anunnaki. They come from the planet Dilimnuns. I think that Dilimnuns, yes. They are the race behind the story of Enlil and Enlil. They were directly involved on the development of the human race during our early stages. After centuries away from Earth, they have recently returned. Their own leader is amongst the most recent visitors. They will now stay on Earth permanently. They will have an important role in the years to come. They spend time immersed in a precious gold-like liquid that presumably extends their lifespans. Is this monatomic gold? I would almost think so, and maybe there's even something higher than that. Who knows? The properties of gold, as we know, are, for an alchemist, are very interesting. All right, we have the Hof Anu Kundrus. They come from the galaxy Sextans Dwarf SPH. First visited Earth in 934 AD in the area that we know now as Romania. Folks, this shit gets real, doesn't it? I mean, come on. The synchronicities are just off the chart. They often abduct and kill humans. They also drain and drink the blood of humans as well as the blood of animals. They are responsible for the myth of vampires. Several human governments know and accept their actions. The human bodies that they use are never returned. Last sighting, Scotland, 1996. I can't help but think, folks, they may have had some more recent ones than this. But anyway, this is Mah Zurich. They come from the constellation Camelopardalis. From the 1300s to the early 1900s, our calendar, they were not allowed to leave their planet by other alien races. They are very violent and predatory race. They are known to be allies of the race, the Matri. There's that group again. Some bad mothers. They grow up to 1.6 meters, about 5 feet. Last seen on Earth, August of 2001. I don't know, for a human, I wouldn't accept that as very good news. What the hell? John, we're thinking of you, brother. Here is the Algoro Alex. They come from the constellation Cetus near Denito, Katos, Shamali, I think that's it. Although they are often confused with reptilian races, they do not share anything with them except their appearances. Their height is around 2 meters, 6 feet, and they can live up to 350 years. This is one of the 21 races that are known to have more than 2 genders, sexes. Well, that's interesting. Let's stop and ponder that a second. How do you have more than 2 sexes? I know some of you are thinking hermaphrodites. All right, I can get that. But it's certainly, let your imagination flow on that one. This race has 8 different genders, and all of them can reproduce with each other. 8. The purpose for their visits to Earth is unknown. Last sighting was near Lima, Peru in December of 2004. 8, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I could have fun with that. I mean, come on. I have no idea where it goes beyond that, but wow. All right, the messengers. No image provided. Probably the most enigmatic of all alien races. Not much is known about them. They visit Earth around every 300 years. Their next visit is supposed to happen any time now. They do not reveal themselves. They do not make direct contact with humans. They leave carvings, drawings, and writings on rocks, as well as symbols in historical monuments. Their ships have the shape of a teardrop and are silver in color. Well, I have to ask this the obvious question. Then how the hell do you know? I don't know. All right. Keep an open mind. I mean, that's what we're doing here. This is Rame. Now, that's a far out dude. I mean, I can't help but not think the Coneheads. I mean, come on. You got to dig that gold, baby. They come from Capapella in the constellation Urga. Known to be a very peaceful race, they try to coexist with humans. They created the Mayan civilization and culture by placing humans from different places on Earth in South America. They are a race of scientists. They taught the Mayans about astronomy and time. They left Earth when the Mayans were at their highest splendor. After that, the Mayans started the well-known blood sacrifices in their honor. This race has been on Earth many times after that. Last sightings was Bora Bora in 2001. That's as far out. I mean, come on. This is, and I'm not even going to, you can go, I guess it's MoonFaith Ke Pa Uk, aka the Shining Ones. They come from the constellation Vulpecula. They have met with at least 2 U.S. presidents, as well as USSR, and now Russian leaders and some high-ranking officials. They supply limited amounts of their technology to humans in exchange for the freedom to conduct abductions. They do not involve other alien races in this process. Wow. They had a big role in Siberian and Tibetan culture. They still have bases in those areas hidden in the north face of the mountains. Ariel was right, wasn't she? They have colonized over 40 planets outside our solar system so far. So are these abductions basically the building blocks that they take to other planets? If you've been abducted, had dreams of sleep paralysis, sexual in nature, fear, feeling that you're being confined, most likely these assholes. Rock. Of the 58 races described here, so that's how many we're going through, this is the race that least visited Earth that we know of so far, only 5 times. They visited the area we now know as the Middle East, and that created the belief in the Djinn, or genies, in Islamic mythology. According to some Muslim scholars, they inhabit an unseen world in a dimension beyond the existing dimensions of our universe. According to reports from other alien races, they stopped visiting Earth because their immune system could not cope with Earth's fauna and flora. Last recorded visit, 712 AD. That's interesting. The Invisibles. I'm sorry. The race is known to have been seen near high security areas. Well, that would help. If you're invisible, that would, beat any security system. They are almost completely invisible to the naked eye. Both the United States and Russian military have developed technology that allows them to track them down on radar, just the ships. 3 things are known about this race. 1, they leave a sour smell when they are near. 2, when they are near windows, you can see their reflection as a smudge-like figure. In fact, have been caught on CCTV footage. 3, when many dogs, or only one, start barking with no apparent reason, it is possible that they are nearby, or the reptoids or reptilians. They come from the constellation Mensa. The purpose of presence is unknown. Well, I don't like that. This is the Moloch Strat 163. There you go. They were forced to leave Earth after losing a battle against the reptoids in ancient India, date unknown, which they had been visiting for around 200 years. They have resumed their visits to Earth in 1948. Technologically, this is a very advanced race. Their ships are often invisible to radar and the human eye, and they wear some sort of clothing that makes them invisible as well. Now, a little side note, we all know what the United States military has done. They've developed this. In fact, there's a company in Japan that's done the same thing. I wonder where that technology came from. Supposedly, they come from Jupiter or from one of its moons. Last sighting, Portugal, May 2005. This is the Hanana. That's a weird one. The members of this race are the cause why humans coined the term Martians. They come from the constellation Gemini. They have had permanent bases on Mars for thousands of years, where they mine some sort of gold-like material. First recorded Earth visit 1235 BC in Japan. Last sighting, Madagascar, 2003. Well, this is the Indu Guck, or aka the Tall Whites. This race has several bases on and in the moon. They were where they mine unknown materials. I wonder what they are mining there. And by the way, we've seen the pictures of that. Anyway, they use slaves to do most of their work. That sucks. These slaves are extremely well taken care of, and the Indu Guck see them as indispensable. Their operations on and in the moon are very secretive. Well, I'm glad they take care of the ones they're making do all the work. They are in almost permanent contact with high-ranking officials from the United States, China, and Russia Federation governments. They have the ability to shapeshift into almost perfect human form. They are also known as the Men in Black, as they use special dark suits to protect their skin when in human shape while conducting special operations on Earth. And I got to tell you, this is probably one of the first ones I've found that say that the Men in Black are, in fact, an alien race, a different species. This is the Kilowatt, aka KR. They come from the constellation Crux near Gakrut. It is a very hard race to track down or spot. Both the United States and Russian military have developed a special camera and radar system that allows to spot them when they are on Earth. But even then, they have only been sighted 8 times. The purpose of their presence is unknown. When they are sighted, it is usually in the area known as the Bermuda Triangle. Pictures like that, folks. This is simply 2017. Oh, there's Originality. They have only contacted humans one time in the USSR in 1935. According to reports, they spoke some kind of Slavic dialect. They left a written message with about 10 sentences. They come from the galaxy UDFJ 395462884. Estimated distance from Earth, our standard, is 13.2 billion light years. They travel by using what other alien races call wormholes, which allow them to bend space. Now, this guy wrote from a note from myself and Pedro. On the original ARB copy, 9 of the sentences were left by the races are blackened out. The only one that is not is this one, 2017-2022. According to reports, they were tall, had blonde, long hair, and smelled like flowers. Something, I guess, is going to happen between 2017 and 2022. That puts us right in the sweet spot. Interesting. I don't know quite what to think of that, but, you know, you have to keep an open mind on this. All right. This is Mon Oak. They come from the constellation Kundrus near the star Anar. Yeah. They are the one that of the most peaceful races. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. They co-created the alliance of the 5 races, the Council of 5. We'll discuss this later, but are not part of it. The Council of 5 are a group of 5 alien races that protect humans against less peaceful races. Okay, this is interesting. They coined the sentence 5 universes, 2,500 species, 1 race. The council is supposed to meet on Earth during the last 10 days of August in 2013. The reason being the fact that Earth has been receiving too many visitors from new races in the past 500 years. Last sighting on Earth near the Sea of Cortez, September 2002. That's very interesting. You know, folks, the argument on this is that you can take the Carl Sagan, Stephen Hawking's approach that, well, we're just an isolated little blue ball and let's keep it that way. The other thought says, well, that's preposterous. If the universe is, as we are seeing, to say that man is the ultimate intelligence of the universe is asinine. It's asinine as well to think that it's only us. It's asinine to think that they're not here. It's just asinine. The Djinn, the Jig Hantik, maintains sporadic contact with 3 Earth governments, but not the most powerful ones, not USA, Russia, or China. Isn't that interesting? Considered to have a violent nature by other races. They've been visiting Earth for 3,000 years. They come from the constellation Hora, I think that's Lagum, and are known to have as allies the race, the Matri. There it is again. Last sighting near Houston, Texas, February 1st, 2003. We got a lot of listeners from Houston that listen to this. I had family down there. This is Jevok. They come from the constellation Indus. They are known by the other races as peacemakers. They are very advanced technologically. Their first sightings on Earth dates back to 1500 BC. They met with JFK 3 weeks before he was killed. Well, there's a spin for you. They have also, around the same time, met with other human world leaders. They have not been seen on Earth since JFK's death. In 1965, they gave a message to the human leaders that ran countries with nuclear capabilities. Content unknown. Well, this is the Dorsey. They grow to a maximum height of a half meter, about 1.6 feet. They have visited Earth at least 250 times. They come from Cassiopeia, where they have 2 more home planets. They eat other alien races as well as humans. Well, I'm glad. 250 times is way too many. I was like, okay. Their race is about at least 4 billion years old, and they have been in a constant state of war with another alien species for 2 billion years. Talk about carrying a grudge. Whoa. Last sighting on Earth, November 2001, Italian Alps. I bet you they probably lost some hikers up there. All right, we'll stop right there. But, it's quite an interesting story when you look at this. And again, we can take it with a grain of salt, but, imagination is something that is very important for each of us to continue to develop. As you get older, the problem why people get old is that they stop their imaginations. They stop imagining. And how sad is that? And I think that this, no matter how you slice it and dice it, it is kind of cool. I mean, it really is. Very few friendlies on that list. Darth, you're absolutely right. My thoughts exactly. And I'm going, I mean, tastes like chicken. I mean, is that the universal thing about humans? Hey, come, we can have it deep fried. We can have it sauteed. Hell, we can just do it, sushi style. I mean, if they're not screwing with our minds, screwing with us physically, they're obviously sexual perverts, then the sons of bitches go and eat us. What's that about? Yeah. I'm telling you, that's why you ought to take a, John Edmonds approach. Be prepared. They can be killed, apparently, but woof. Folks, I mean, come on, smile when you hear this. I mean, who knows? It may be absolutely, totally true, or maybe partially, or maybe not at all. But I can tell you, there's other sections to this book that you go, now, wait a minute. How did the Russians know that? And when you start putting this into it, folks, I'm going to be doing a show on this. I'm becoming convinced all religions, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, the Hindu, the Taoist, all of them are all authored by aliens. Yeah, I think the evidence shows that. And if there's one thing that this book is doing, it shows that these visits are sporadic, frequent, and rarely. Well, that would make sense when you haven't seen any of these religions' gods show up. It's because they're not here. Now, that ain't saying that they ain't going to be coming back. And I think that becomes the problem. Thank you, Twisted Isby. Yeah. I mean, think about it. I mean, none of these gods exist. Oh, I get pushback on that. Listen, I had to ban 5 people this weekend because of their insanity. But the fact is, folks, let's have a mature, open-minded discussion. None of these gods are here. Oh, we can get into the esoteric part of that. But the fact of the matter is, if you go in court, you have to have physical evidence. Although there have been a lot convicted on circumstantial evidence, but I digress. Yeah, puts a whole different, and you know what? Can I say this? Every one of those religions, those gods kill us. They murder us and then tell us that it's our fault. Well, now, wait a minute. I haven't killed anything. I don't want to kill anything. And I sure the hell ain't going to worship some god that brags about the fact that it kills its creation. Not going to do it. Wow. Folks, you know what? We've got to come together. I grieve for our species. There's times in my meditation where it's just too heavy to think about it. Folks, we're not enlightening. This is not the age of enlightenment. This is not the ascension to anything. Let me be honest with all that type of thinking. The world is going to the hell in a handbasket. I don't see this wonderful enlightenment. It's a small majority. And when the one potential presidential candidate brought it out, you know what? That's all your evidence. Something's wrong here, folks. Something is seriously wrong. We've got to change the way we think. I'm sorry for the rant on the end, but we're killing ourselves, folks. We got a divided government, People are killing each other for nothing on the streets. We've lost the sense of what it means to be human. Oh, folks. And is it any wonder that we have people killing people randomly? These are the same people that were playing the video games. It's the only reality they know. Why? Because 99% of video games are about killing, violence. That's programming, folks. I ain't apologizing. It's the fact. It's the truth. And we've got to wake up to this, folks. We really do. All right, tomorrow is with Miss Trina, Second Look, and we'll pick back up on Wednesday. And I appreciate, thank you, folks. I mean, this is a place where we can come and share. Not everyone's going to agree. That's cool, you know, but it is a chance to discuss these topics that I get so frustrated when I see so many they're talking about this enlightenment and coming into this, and I look at the other reality and it ain't there. So there's a disconnect somewhere. I don't know. Thank you, Ruby. Y'all are the best. Much love to you, folks. I thank you for your time on this. And hey, we'll pick right back up. All right. Bye-bye.